Hey, Greg, what are the challenges facing this group this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think initially coming in, just being champions and committing to, like, again, the new process, some new faces. We start again. The challenges are going to be different in terms of sometimes how teams approach us or all those kinds of things. It's just going to be a different road to success this year. So I think it's continuing to build off of the things that we learned about each other and about who we are last year, integrate some of the new guys, and manage each of these games and each of these situations appropriately. So those are the challenges. I mean, obviously, right now we have a few guys that are missing, and it's going to be about guys that are coming in, just making sure they step up and they just need to be themselves and fit inside of the concepts that we're trying to go. But the challenges are the same every single year. It doesn't change. You just have to manage them as they come and find the solutions.
And what have been your thoughts on some of the new guys, Lucas, Sanabia, Zanka, Elijah, guys like that, how they sort of fit into this group so far?
Let's just off the field, wonderful guys who immediately have just fit into the chemistry of the team and the culture of the group instantly. Christian is just a great guy who has background, knows our league, comes from down the street, but also just as a human, he's just seamlessly slipped into our team as if he had been here for a year or 2 years. Lucas is quiet, and he's taking everything in. It's new surroundings and everything else, but you can tell just personality-wise, great kid, super intense, wants to be here to compete, but he's connected with some guys on the team right off the bat, and again fits in. Elijah, same, fits in easily. So off the field, these guys just have been great additions in that regard. On the field, each of them brings their unique qualities that can help our team. Christian obviously knows how to play in our league, and he comes from an environment that's not so dissimilar from ours. And so again, it's just adjusting his meter on how much he's involved in the setup of plays and how much he's focusing on the finishing of plays. Defensively, very, very intelligent in terms of just giving him some guidelines that we want to use on the defensive side and to read the game, and he's been great. Elijah gives us some range and some size and just a different type of midfielder profile, power. So we're teaching him how to play low, how to play high, different things, but he's got a lot of qualities, and he's a cerebral kid who's just taking things on. Lucas is a top player. That's really just about adapting to new surroundings and adapting to new teammates in a new league. But he's got an engine. He can cover ground. He's very comfortable on the ball under pressure and in duels. He looks for the tackle. He's got a lot of great qualities that, again, it's all just about fitting these pieces into our puzzle to make sure that those edges that we need to fit in a little more seamlessly are just things that we're honing as they learn more about each other and they play together. And Zanka's leadership, experience, the way he is running a line and communicating to everybody, his composure on the ball, like just a guy, wonderful human being. Also, just the guy that brings another level of just maturity to our group and leadership to our back line guys.
Early today, the team announced the acquisition of 2 international roster spots.
Yeah.
What are you still looking for, to reinforce the team for the season?
Yeah, I mean, for this window is to get healthy, to start to get Mateus Nascimento involved and to the group so he can get himself to a position to help us. He just hasn't been out here long enough just yet, but he's got some qualities that can help our team. And I think first thing is we just need to get this group that has been reassembled and some who've been here for a while just connected to each other. I don't think there's too much work for us to do in the window right now. And then I think it's to assess as we move towards the summer and see where we're at and take a look at what are other ways that we can reinforce this team as we move into the summer window. But I think we've done most of our business for now, and now it's we got to get these guys gelling together and getting out there and competing and learning and growing together for the season.
Okay, great. How do you see Maya's leadership, and how does he have? What kind of impact does he have on the younger team? Team?
Yeah, and Maya he's the ultimate professional. Super disciplined, takes care of himself, shows up to work and to train every single day. So he's a great role model from that respect for our younger players to see what it takes to have a career like he's had. and his commitment to all the details, whether it's in the weight room, it's in the locker room, it's on the field, it's in the training room. He's always on top of things. You don't play as many minutes as you played last year unless you're very disciplined to the routines that you need to do to get yourself out there. So one, I think, is just again his example. Two is he's wonderful at the individual, pulling players individually and having conversations with Amiro and other guys in front of him and around him about situations in the game and reading and making sure we're connected and making good decisions, providing leadership in that regard, both on the field and after the games and after training sessions and things like that. So then he's sharing his experiences to others to help the younger players grow in many ways. So, and I think again, just learning in our environment what it means to be in a club that everyone expects you to win, and that's what does that look like, and how do you take on that sort of it's not a burden, but that sort of responsibility, I think, which is it's a good responsibility. He helps the players to take on that and to understand what that's like. So he's been really good for our group in that regard.
Talking about being professional and leadership in the team, what it means to you to have a Ricky involved in the team, even if it's still a long way to go for him be part of the team? What does it mean to you to having him be present for you and the team?
Yeah, it's been great to have him around. I mean, there's two parts of this. Is he has to focus on the things that are going to get him back on the field, and if he's around here all the time, then he's using resources for the training room and everything, which other guys need to play. So it's finding the balance between getting him exactly where he needs to be to make sure he's taking the steps and he needs to come back at the right time and the right way. But then the second is having him around the groups, because his presence is unique and special to Ricky. He has a great way of connecting with players on and off the field, obviously not right now on. And they love to see him around. He's just such an important figure to the club. So it's nice to have him. Right now he's been around the last week and change, and it's been good to see him. But in the mornings he's doing off-site therapy, and then he comes back as soon as he's done with that, and we see him around this time arrive and starting to do his work around the group. So it's great to have all the guys around, because they play a big part, and they're going to play a big part in this season. His time is just maybe a little bit down the road in terms of being on the field.
And we'll transition to Zoom. Alex, go ahead.
Hi, Greg. Nice to speak to you again. I'll just ask you a question similar as I asked Christian earlier. With Columbus, he kind of played in half spaces, rotated a lot up front.
Yep.
With you now in your system, what have your conversations been like? And, how much is it going to differ from what he was doing in Columbus to, what you want out of him this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of similarities. What I would say there is with a guy like Cucho, who was very comfortable going up and playing the 9. Sometimes, Rossi would go up and play the 9, and sometimes Christian would drop into those gaps. We're giving him the flexibility to read if those spaces are open, and he feels like the value of those spaces is higher in a given moment than somewhere else, then he obviously has the green light to fill those spaces. The one thing that I want him to, again, shift his mindset over is to make sure that he's arriving into goal scoring and finishing positions, that he's not getting caught over trying to connect with the group in build-up moments or in possession moments, and then not making his way to the front of the goal, because we don't have 2 or 3 guys who are going to fill that 9 position when he pulls out of that position. It's something that he's going to have to own a little more than maybe at times with Columbus. So I think that's an easy read and easy pickup for him. It's just adjusting, like I said, his meter of not feeling like he has to get so involved in the possessions and starting to organize some of his final actions, his runs in the box, things like that a little bit more, which for some guys that can simplify the game a little bit. And I think for him, we'll see how he takes to it, but I think it'll be an easy transition.
Thanks, Greg. Best of luck on Sunday.
Thank you.
And we'll wrap with one final question with Rob. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Greg. Thanks so much for your time and talking to us today. How do you manage those emotions on Sunday? It's a big occasion, and what are you looking for in this team to take the next step?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one with Sunday. Obviously, for our group, it'll be the first time we step back into our stadium. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of a ceremony, which both is emotional but also takes a little extra time in between the start of coming out of the locker room and starting the game. And then you look on the other side, you have a team that is a club that's their entry into MLS. This is their opening day, and against the team that's going to be a rival for them and against the team that just won the championship. They don't have a whole lot to lose on the day. They can come out being as aggressive as they feel like they can and as they want to be. And for us, it's going to be early on. It's certainly going to be playing with intelligence and managing the start of the game and making sure that like a final or like any of these bigger moments that you're making good, smart decisions at the early part. Always the game is going to settle down at some point, and then some of the things that tactically and all that stuff will come into play. But the start could have a little bit of emotion and could be maybe even a little bit hectic at times, and we just need to make sure that we're smart about how we manage the details inside of the start of the game. For this group, I think it's continuing to build. I think we learned a lot about each other and about ourselves. I think we matured as the season went on. The starting point for us in preseason was higher than it was last year because we had more guys who were aware of our system, aware of their roles and responsibilities, and it also have created relationships on the field that weren't in the same place last year as they are now. So we need to continue to mature as a team. We need to help integrate the new players into what we're doing and help them to build relationships with the guys that have been here, to establish timing, to establish rhythm, to establish all those kinds of things as we start a new journey and a new process. So I think it's just, again, one step at a time, and you can't defend your championship in the opening game with all due respect. You still have to go through all of the stages and all the things that you need to do to get yourself back in position to try to win another one.
Great. When you were in Toronto, you tried to repeat the second year.
Yeah.
The following year, what did you learn about that process that you went through there that you're going to pick it up in here?
Yeah, I mean, so we went to the finals in 2016 and lost in the shootout. I think having lost in the shootout, the next day started meeting with players, and the team was so hungry to start 2017 because they had missed out on that opportunity. So I think the focus and the drive and the hunger, having lost one, was just different and galvanized a group of players who came out the next year with a real mission and a driven and a purpose. And I think that's important for this group. Having won, you still got to be hungry. You still got to play as if you haven't won one before, and you got to play with that desire and humility that you've got to go. You got to go prove yourself again in many ways. Not like we did it. We're gonna be better than everybody else. That's not a mentality that ever is okay around here, and it's certainly not okay after we won. So, 2016 we were there. 2017 after winning it, I felt like the group was very focused for the Champions League run, all the way through to the finals, losing in a shootout to Guadalajara. After that, I felt like the group started to lose a little bit of its focus, and it became a little bit focused on more individual things, my contract, my this, my that. Having come off such a good run of 2 years, I think a little bit of the focus started to, and we had so many injuries. That was part of it, was just managing the busy schedule that comes with winning a championship. Now you have Champions League. Now you have more things earlier in the year that you've got to make sure that you're having the right rotations, and we had tons of travel. We traveled the distance of the coast to coast like 5 times in the course of maybe 5 weeks. And guys, we were just having breakdowns and injuries. So for us, it was learning how to manage the busy schedule, the distances, all the things that come with being in multiple events that we needed to learn from. But for our guys, what they need to think about is, again, just the humility of coming out and playing with that drive, that desire, and that passion as if they haven't been there before and they're trying to get it again, and they're hungry for it, and that's going to be important because I think our fan base demands that, and I think we all should demand that, and that's the foundation for anything that you're going to build that is interesting. So
at the start of preseason, you said you had a tough decision to make in goal. Has that been finalized?
Yeah, the decision's made, and the keeper knows who's going to be in the goal, and you have to do that to give everybody the right runway to prepare. So, are you asking me to say it, or are you asking me just to? Well, we'll see when the lineups come out.
Yeah, we can put one and one together. Right?
Okay, well, if you know how to get to 2, then we're good.
And with that math problem solved, that will conclude our press conference.
I'm just glad you got here today. You always get here.
Hey, you got here closer today.
That's right.
Tell us out.